Bro, listen. Here's the thing, man. You ever notice how every now and then something happens in entertainment that just punches you right in the face and makes you go, wait, what the hell is actually going on here? And I'm sitting here at this mic, headphones on, coffee in front of me, and I'm thinking about Henry Cavill walking away from The Witcher. And dude, it's not just some actor switching roles. It's not Hollywood drama. It's something way deeper, like one of those moments where you can feel the energy shift. Because when a guy who loves the character more than anyone else suddenly says, I'm done, you know there's something real going on behind the curtain, man. And that's what I want to talk about. Not the gossip, not the clickbait headlines, but the real human side of it. The passion, the frustration, the part nobody sees when the cameras aren't rolling. So buckle up, because this one's wild. You know it's crazy, man, because when you really sit down and look at the whole Henry Cavill and Witcher situation, you start to realize it's not just some celebrity gossip or another Hollywood dropout story. It's a much bigger example of what happens when a guy who genuinely cares about something, I mean, really cares on a deep, nerdy, lore-loving level, ends up inside a machine that doesn't respect the material the same way he does. And every time I talk about this kind of thing, I always end up thinking about how passion, authenticity, and creative alignment are becoming such rare things in modern entertainment. So let's break this down, because Henry Cavill wasn't just some actor cast in Geralt's role. He was like a lifelong fan, a dude who literally read the books, played the games, talked about the lore in interviews like he was explaining his favorite childhood story. And for a guy like that to walk away, man, there's a real story behind it, and people kept saying it was about contracts or money or disagreements or schedules. But when you actually look at the pieces, it's way more about respect, artistic integrity, and the frustration of working in an envy. Environment where the people steering the ship don't even believe in the world they were building. And that's wild, because imagine being the lead character in a huge franchise and the writers behind the scenes are openly not into the source material, like you're showing up trying to embody this character with all the depth and complexity fans love. But the people creating the story, it even want to keep it faithful. And that's what Henry subtly hinted at again and again. He talked about staying true to the books, preserving Geralt's personality, keeping the philosophy of the Witcher universe intact, and it's like you can almost see the tension building over time. Every interview where he carefully said things like, as long as the show honors the books, or I'll stay if we respect Sapkowski's vision. And dude, that's not normal actor PR stuff. That's a guy leaving breadcrumbs, like he's saying, hey, I'm here because I love this. And when you're that invested and the people running the show are going in a totally different direction, it's like trying to steer a boat while someone else is drilling holes in the hull. And at some point, you're just like, man, what am I even doing here, eh? You have to respect that, because we live in an era where people will do anything to cling to big roles, franchises, money, fame. But here's Henry stepping away from something massive, because he's like, nope, not if it betrays what I believe this character should be. And that's some warrior monk discipline, man. That's some stoic Roman legionnaire energy. And maybe that's why people connect with him so much. Not because he looks like Geralt, or because he's jacked, or because he plays video games, but because he actually stands for something in a world where standing for something is becoming rare. And I think that's why fans were pissed. Not just because he left, but because they instantly understood why. Like everyone was saying, the writers don't care about the books. They're mocking the fans, they're changing everything, and Henry, being this respectful, classy, British gentleman, never said it outright, but his actions spoke louder. And when someone like Henry Cavill says no to a billion-dollar machine, that's a message, man. It's a message to every creator who loves something deeply but gets crushed by corporate decisions. And it reminds me of this whole larger conversation we're always having about authenticity, like, what does it mean to stay true to something? How do you balance passion with business? And why do people who actually care get pushed aside while people who see everything as a content pipeline rise to the top? And it also ties into the way fandom works today, because fans aren't dumb. They're more informed than ever. They can tell when a show stops caring. They can smell disrespect from a mile away. And when Henry left, it was like a collective sigh from the entire Witcher community saying, yeah, we saw this coming. And that's powerful because it shows what happens when someone's passion collides with corporate storytelling. And honestly, man, it's happening everywhere. Marvel burnout, Star Wars division, fantasy series losing their soul, and Henry Cavill leaving The Witcher just became this big symbolic moment where people realize, wow, even the guy who loves the franchise the most can't survive inside the system if the system doesn't value authenticity. And I kind of admire the guy for that, because walking away means he's prioritizing his integrity over convenience, and that's rare. And I think that's what makes the STO interesting. Not just the behind-the-scenes drama, but what it represents about the entertainment industry as a whole, where passion gets sidelined and algorithmic content strategy becomes the main thing. And here's Henry, this giant dude who looks like a knight that fell through a time portal, basically saying, I'm not going to pretend this is okay. And that resonates on such a human level, because we've all been in situations where we care about something more than the people in charge do, whether it's a job, a project, a friendship, whatever. And eventually you hit that point where you're like, man, I got to choose myself. And that's what Henry did. He chose himself. He chose the character he loved too much to watch being mishandled, and he walked away with dignity. And maybe that's why the entire internet erupted when he left, because deep down everyone knew this wasn't a diva move or a money fight. It was a dude sticking to his principles. And that's why the story continues to grow, why people still talk about it like a cultural moment, because it's not just about The Witcher, it's about what happens when authenticity meets a system that doesn't reward it, and whether why. Or talking acting, writing, fighting, creativity, or just life. That's something everyone can relate to. And honestly, man, that's why Henry Cavill leaving The Witcher is more than a headline. It's a lesson, a warning, and a reminder that even the most passionate among us sometimes have to walk away to protect what we love. And that's why I think this whole situation is way deeper than people realize, because it shows you what kind of world we're living in, what kind of choices we're forced to make, and how rare it is to see someone with the courage to say, I'm done, even when the whole world expects you to stay.